All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here, and welcome to the How to Quit Quitting 5 Human Tendencies That Lead to Self-Sabotage Masterclass. I appreciate everyone who is here right now, either watching live or if you are watching the recording later on. Anyone who's here watching live, please stay till the end, and I will have a special bonus for everyone who's here live on the call. And also, if you have questions while I'm going through the presentation live, or if you're watching the replay, feel free to drop the questions either in the comments here on Zoom or on the replay in the comments section, and I will get to all of the questions either as I go or after I'm finished presenting. So how to quit quitting, the 5 human tendencies that lead to self-sabotage. So the first thing, today's outline, what are we going to talk about today? So first, we're going to start with a little background information and what I call fundamental understandings. And these are fundamental understandings that we need to lay down the framework before we can move forward, because we all need to be on the same page here. All right, so we need to all be on the same. Oh, sorry, people are going to keep dinging in. We all need to be on the same page as we go forward. So we're going to have background information, fundamental understandings. Then I'm going to outline the 5 human tendencies that are going to lead to your self-sabotage. And then we're going to finish off with what to do with this information so that you can start living a more successful, passionate life. Because my goal is that once you understand these human tendencies that are going to lead to your self-sabotage, that are going to lead you to quit on your goals, we no longer quit, and we can then build our successful life. So the first thing I want to talk about is the word impossible. So you might know who some of these people are. You might not. The first guy all the way to the left is Ferdinand Magellan, who circumnavigated the globe. He was the first man to sail around the entire world back in, like, I don't know, the 1400s or 1500s. Then we have the Wright brothers, and the Wright brothers, as you probably know, created the airplane and what we now have as modern air travel. And then we have, of course, Steve Jobs, who created, among other things, the iPod, the MacBook, and of course, most famously, the iPhone. And the reason that I bring all of this stuff up is because all of these things were literal science fiction before these people did them. It was thought to be impossible to sail around the entire world. It was impossible. It was impossible for humans to fly for tens of thousands of years of human evolution. It was literally impossible for us to communicate in the way that we do now, the way that we are literally having this conversation right now that we take for granted was literally impossible until it wasn't, right? And that's the thing that I want to lay out here right from the beginning, is that this was not just thought as impossible. It was literal science fiction. People would have wrote books about iPhones and Zoom communication and all the things that we are now using, right? So the word impossible really loses a bit of its luster when we think about it that way. And the fundamental understanding that we all need to go forward with is that everything is impossible until it isn't. It was impossible to sail around the world until someone did it, and it wasn't. It was impossible to fly, and now we have jets that break the sound barrier. It was impossible to have an iPhone. It was impossible to do all these things, right? The history is littered with countless examples of these things. The 4-minute mile. It was thought it was physically impossible for humans to run a 4-minute mile up until about 80 years ago. And now the guy who ran the most recent New York Marathon finished with a marathon time of 4-minute miles for the entire marathon, 26 miles at a 4-minute marathon each, right? Simone Biles, her signature move is the Yuchenko double under or something like that, which is supposed to be physically impossible, and yet she does it, right? So everything that was once impossible that now we take for granted, right? All of these scientific amazing things that were literally impossible before, we take these things for granted now. And understand that any of these impossible things was accomplished by a human. Inherently, you are a human. I am a human. And that means that you can do impossible things. I can do impossible things. Anyone can do impossible things. And there is no such thing as impossible, right? It's only impossible until it isn't. It's only impossible until someone does it. But in order to achieve the impossible, you have to be willing to try. And that's the first thing that holds most people back. They go, well, it's impossible, or well, that's never going to work, or well, I'm not going to be able to do that. So they don't try. And if that held back everyone, we wouldn't have the airplane. We wouldn't have people running these amazing fast miles. We wouldn't have the iPhone. We wouldn't have all of this stuff. So the first thing is you have to let yourself free to have a bigger vision and to dream, right? And that's a big part of what I do in my courses with people is I set big visions and big goals, because without a big vision, you're not dreaming big enough. Okay. So who am I? What's the point of this? So some of you may know me, some of you may not. My name is Paul Leviton. I'm a certified behavior change specialist. And I've spent over 10 years in the field helping people change their lives, right? So I started as a personal trainer, then a nutrition coach, and then a life coach. And all of this stuff is predicated on change, right? Whether it's helping change their physical shape of your body, whether it's helping change your weight, whether it's helping to build healthy habits, whether it's helping to build a business, all of this stuff is the same because it's all about change, right? Another thing about me is I'm a lifelong learner. I read a lot. I study a lot. And I'm an educator. I'm a speaker. And most importantly, I'm a listener. And that part is important because I've been fortunate enough to be in the room with some very smart people, some very successful people. I've had clients, I have friends who are rich and successful beyond most people's wildest dreams. And when I'm with these people, I listen. And I listen to the key threads that I see. What are the same things that I see amongst all my successful friends, all my successful clients, all the people who are ultra successful, who have everything that they want in life? What are the common threads and how can I extract that? And that's what I've learned. And that's how I built this course, because I have paid attention to the common thread that builds success. And that's what I'm going to show you here today. So the first thing, again, another fundamental understanding, we have to understand that failure is not real. There literally is no such thing as failure. What there is quitting before you get the result. Right? So as I said just before, I was a personal trainer and a nutrition coach for many years, and I'll use fitness and nutrition as an analogy quite often because it's very easy and most people understand it. But understand when I'm using any analogy I use, this is not just about fitness. It could be fitness, it could be business, it could be relationships, it could be anything that you're trying to become successful at. But most people will have a story where they go, I failed at a diet, right? I started my New Year's diet, but I failed. You didn't fail the diet, you stopped doing it. Right? I failed at the gym. You don't fail at the gym, you stop going. If you continued to go and never stopped, you would get the result. It's just guaranteed. It's science. If you continue to diet, you would eventually lose weight. If you continue to work on your business, it would eventually take off. All of these things are factual because all it is a matter of time. But the thing is, most people get frustrated before that thing happens and they allow themselves to quit. And they confuse that with failure. But quitting is self-inflicted. So a key distinction here is between what I call little f failure and capital F failure, right? So there's failure and then there's capital F failure. And capital F failure is final. It's the end of the road, done, right? And that's the thing about failure. Most people are experiencing little f failure and thinking of it as capital F failure. It feels like when I fail that diet, like it's all over, like everything is gone out the window, like all the hard work that I've put in is for naught, right? When I've been dieting, then I eat a donut, right? When I've been waking up at 5 a.m., and then I oversleep my alarm, it feels like I've thrown everything out and failure is final. But that's not actually how it is. In reality, these are called little f failures. And little f failures are just small bumps in the road. And they're actually learning experiences that get us closer to the ultimate goal, which is success. They are an inevitable part of the process. There's no version of reality where we don't fail on the way to success. So if you're looking at all of your failures as capital F failures, and you're allowing that to get in your head, you are going to be the person who quits, as I said. But if you can look at failure as little f failures and realize that they are a bump in the road. And not only that, but an inevitable and crucial part of the overall equation, right? If you look at this, this infographic right here, the bottom bar that says fail until you succeed, if you take all of those red pieces out, the bar isn't full anymore. It is part of the process. The failure is where you learn. It is a learning experience. And as I said, I am a lifelong learner and I learn from my failures all the time. That's a big part of what has separated me from people who are less successful, is that I use my failure as learning experiences to move myself forward. So again, failure isn't real. But when we quit, it gives us the illusion of failure because it feels like it, right? Quitting is the closest thing to failure. But the thing is that it's not actually failure because you can always start again. But most people get in their heads too much once they quit because they're confusing quitting with failure, right? They go, I failed at this thing. If I failed it, it's over. I can't do it again. And they stop trying, right? And the reason that this is so important, and this is the entire point of today's presentation, is that when you take away quitting, failure becomes impossible. There is no capital F failure if you do not quit. There's only little f learning failure. And then if you only have that, if you only have little f failure, but you never quit, eventually you get to success. It is inevitable because you don't allow yourself to quit. That's the only way that's left, right? If you look at, again, look at this little graph, you see the little man climbing, it's all a part of the process. And I love this, this is a cute little thing, but understand all of these down ticks, this here, this here, this here, those are all reasons that felt like failure. That could have been an excuse to quit, right? This is, I'm dieting, but the scale went up. Oh my God. This is, I've been going to the gym all the time, but then I stopped. Oh my God. This is, I did everything right for my business, but we sold less. Oh my God. And all of these reasons, they, again, feel like failure. It feels very real, very viscerally to us. And that's why it's challenging. It's hard, but we have to frame this as a way to understand that the only way that we can fail, capital F fail, is to quit. And so I want to stop you right now because I know this is about the time where people start to go, well, yeah, but it's different for me. Well, oh, it's easy for you to say you have, or, well, you know, that guy, those people who were so successful, they got lucky, or no, you don't understand my thing, you know, and all of those things are valid statements, but they're also pointless, right? They got lucky. Yes, we can just push that off to the side. Every person who's ever been successful has gotten lucky because luck is a part of success, right? Easier said than done. Everything that I'm saying today is hard. It's challenging, right? Looking at failure, not as capital F failure, but looking at it as a learning experience is extremely challenging, right? In that moment, when you feel like quitting, it doesn't feel like a learning experience. It feels horrible. So I understand all of this is easier said than done. All of this has to do with luck. All of this, we have our own personal life experiences that make this different for us. And all of that is true. And yet that doesn't disregard any of the things that I've said so far. So we have to just take that stuff and say, yep, that's okay. It sucks sometimes. Some people get lucky and I don't. Sometimes I get really unlucky. Yes, this is very hard. All of that stuff is true. And now where do we go forward from here? So where do we go forward, right? We only have two options. There's capital F failure, which is quitting. And that's it. If that's the route you choose, you fail, you quit, game over. Then that's the route that you take. But there's another option. And this is the option that I hope that you choose to take. And this is to become aware. The first step in any change is awareness. This is what I call the change loop. All right. I created this in my courses that I teach. And the first step is awareness. You have to become aware of the problem. That's why I'm spending so much time now just talking about capital F failure, little f failure, quitting as being failure, failure as being impossible, because I want you to be aware of what's going on. After you're aware, you can educate yourself. When you educate yourself on the possible ways that you can remedy the problem, then the last step is action, right? And all three of these are a loop and they go back into each other. You see, there's no end. Failure, capital F failure leads to quitting is final. It's a straight line. Awareness, education, action is a loop. You're continually learning. You're continually building. You're continually getting better, okay? But you have to be open to being aware. You have to be open to educating yourself and taking action. And all along this loop are small f failures, right? Little bumps in the road that feel like capital F failure, that are going to every time make you feel like quitting. Every time you hit a bump in the road here or here or here or here or here or here or here, you're going to want to quit. It's going to feel real. It's going to feel like, oh my God, everything is burning, the world is ending, and like it's all done. Why even try? But it's not real. So why then do people quit? And Alexander Pope said, to err is human. There's another part of that quote, but I cut it out. To err is human, meaning to make mistakes is human. And this is the truth. And I added to this, to quit is also human. And this is what we have to understand, because quitting is human, because the human brain does not like to struggle. We are humans, all animals to be exact, are survival machines. All your brain cares about is you surviving. Anything that feels bad, that is hard and challenging, to our brain is an affront to our direct, immediate survival. Meaning, when you want to lose weight and you're restricting your calories, when you are doing a job that feels particularly hard and is stressing you and pushing your limits, when you're lifting a weight, when you're having therapy with your significant other, all of these things are stress on our system, and sends a signal to my brain that things are bad and that I am unsafe. And this causes us to want to quit. Okay. So this is important because inherently here we have a paradox. Everything that we need to do to make ourselves better is hard. And every time we do a hard thing, our brain, to protect us, wants to quit. The reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to understand that this is human nature. There's a reason that I can talk about this stuff and say the 5 human tendencies, and why I can talk about this stuff and people can nod their heads and go, yeah, that makes sense. I've done that before. It's because all humans are the same. We have a human tendency to avoid things that are hard. And everything that we need to do is hard, because anything that is easy would already be done. No one sets a goal to watch more TV because that's easy. You don't have to try to do that. No one sets a goal to be less attentive at the dinner table and scroll on their phone more. You don't need to do that. That's easy. You only have to set a goal to do something if it's hard. And if it's hard, inherently at some point you are going to want to quit. So when we take away quitting, as I said in the previous slide, that's when you actually get the result. So in order to actually quit quitting, when you want to quit something, all I want you to remember is to get out of your slump, SLUMP. And these are the 5 human tendencies, the tendencies that all humans have across all borders that are going to make you want to quit. And if you're watching this live, drop in the comments as I go through these, any of these that resonate with you. Same thing if you're watching the recording, just drop it in, because I want to know which of these are the ones where you're like, yeah, that's me. Okay, so the first S stands for shoulds and supposed tos. Shoulds and supposed tos are the number one thing that are going to stop you right off the bat. It should be this way. It's supposed to be different, right? This is, if you look at the picture, it says comparison, as the old saying goes, comparison is the thief of joy. Shoulds and supposed tos are comparison personified, because what a should really is you comparing yourself to either someone or something else, right? An easy example is, my friend did this diet for 6 months and they lost 20 pounds. I've been doing this diet for 6 months and I've only lost 10 pounds. I should have lost 20. I was supposed to lose 20. That's not how it works. You don't get to choose what should or supposed to, right? This is, I've been working so hard on my business. I should be at this level by now. I should have made this much money by now. Again, shoulds and supposed tos are not real. There is nothing that should be. There's nothing that is supposed to be. There only is what is. That is just a fact of the universe. You can feel a certain way. You can feel like you're owed something, but in reality, we're owed nothing. And everyone's body, everyone's destiny, everyone's life is completely different. So 100 people can do the exact same routine. And again, whatever it is, it doesn't matter if we're talking fitness, if we're talking health, if we're talking business, and get 100 different results. There is no way that this stuff should work out. And if we are comparing ourselves to that, again, comparing ourselves to the vision in our head of what we should be, right? So a lot of times, again, I have a picture in my head of what it should look like in the future. I'm going to quit when my picture in my head doesn't match up to what I'm seeing, right? If I feel like I've done this much work and I should be here by now, but I'm not there by now, to my brain, right? That's a bad deal. My brain goes, well, why am I expending so much energy trying to do this thing when I'm not getting the desired result? Well, let's quit. Okay. If I'm saying it's supposed to be this way, it's the same thing. All I'm giving is my brain is taking these as excuses to quit, because anytime there's a disconnect between what I think should be or what's supposed to be and what is, it feels like I got the bad end of the stick, right? I got the bad end of the deal. So what we have to do is understand that there is no such things as should and supposed to. There only is what is. You have to accept the reality of the situation that you're in. And with that, you can choose to move forward differently going forward, but you can't be upset or change the way that it is. You can be upset with it all you want, actually, but you can't change it, right? Oh, I should be this far along by now, but you're not. You're here where you are. So now what do you do going forward to change that? That's the conversation that you can have. But holding yourself to these standards of what you should, where you should be by now, where you should be compared to someone else, or where you should be compared to a vision of what you thought the future was going to look like, where you should be based on a thought of the past, right? Oh, 10 years from now, 10 years ago, I thought I was going to be here by the time I was 30, but I'm here. And again, this gives me a reason to want to quit. So the first thing, we need to stop the shoulds and the supposed tos, because that is an exact reason that you're going to quit right off the bat. L stands for lack of clarity. Treasure map here. If you're going to start off on any destination, on any type of journey, the first thing you need is a destination. You don't end up at a destination that you did not set out for. When you get in a car, the first thing you do is enter the address into the GPS. When you get in a plane, they have an exact destination. If you want to achieve something, you have to know where you are going. So having clarity in your vision, I spoke about vision before. What is the exact thing that I want? Most people don't know this. Most people don't have a clear vision. So they'll say things like, well, I just want to be a little better. I just want to be a little healthier. I just want to be a little happier. I want to be successful. And these are great. I want all of these things too. No shit. Who doesn't? We all do. And that's the point. It's too wishy-washy and it doesn't actually point us anywhere. Again, our brain, everything comes back to our brain. How does our brain see this? They go, well, what the hell? Like, I don't know what the goal is. What am I even working towards? What's the point? Let's quit. Okay. So we need lack of clarity in what is the actual destination and the vision, and also a lack of clarity in how I'm going to get there. Right. Because if I don't understand what I'm actually doing and how I'm getting there, again, my brain goes, well, clearly this isn't going to work out. I might as well cut and run right now, right? Why waste 6 months doing a business plan if I don't even know what the business plan is working towards? I might as well just quit right now. And it's giving me an excuse. It's preloading that excuse to quit. Your brain is always looking for reasons to quit every day, every moment. And that's what we're fighting against. This is what I'm trying to equip you with here. Every single day, every single time you try to do something hard, your brain is just looking, searching for reasons to quit. And if you can be aware of them and notice them, you have at least a fighting chance. So a lack of clarity is the second thing, right? You have to be clear on your destination, clear on your vision, and clear on the steps that it's going to take to get there. And when I say clear on your vision, this is an important thing before too, because a lot of people, this stumps them up because again, they're afraid to have big visions, right? They're afraid. They go, well, like, yeah, it would be nice to have a really successful business, but I can't do that. So I'm just going to stay at my job. Yeah, it would be nice to lose 100 pounds, but I don't know if I can do that. So I'll just shoot for 10. And that's why I started this presentation with nothing is impossible. If I just said you don't reach a destination that you didn't set out for, and you don't have a big vision, there's no possible way that you can ever get there. Right? If you have 100 pounds to lose, but you say, well, I don't want to be too crazy. So I'm just going to try to lose 20. Guaranteed, you're never going to lose more than 20 pounds. Right? If you say, well, yeah, like I would love to have my own business, but like, I'm going to do what's safe and I'm going to just kind of stay at my job. Then that's what you're choosing, because you're not letting yourself dream big enough. So that's a big part of what I do in my programs as well, is I help people unlock their big vision and their big dreams, because you cannot reach a level higher than your dreams. It's impossible. Your brain won't let you. It literally will just tell you to quit. It's like, what am I even trying? What am I working for? So S stands for shoulds and supposed tos. L is lack of clarity. U is uncertainty. Uncertainty is an inherent paradox, because your brain, again, wants certainty. It wants to know, what am I getting for this? If I'm putting in hard-earned energy, calories, the things that my body runs on, I want to know that I'm getting something out of it. But inherently, nothing that we do in life is certain, right? All of the hard things that we want to do are not certain. If I go to the gym, I'm not certain that I'm going to get the result that I want. If I work on my business, I'm not certain that it's going to be successful. If I go out and try to talk to girls at the bar, I'm not certain that I won't get rejected. So inherent here is a paradox, because our brain only wants to do things that are certain. It only wants to free up our energy and our calories for things that are certain, but there is no certainty in life, especially in the things that are worth doing. Right? Things that are certain are, I can press next on Netflix. That's certain for me, right? And that stuff is easy. Again, you don't have to try to do those things. So certain things come easily. Uncertain things are hard. So what do you do about this, right? This leaves us at an impasse. Well, in order to get around this, before I said, I want to explain how I know that certainty is such a key demotivator for people. And I know that that certainty is such a human driver, because if you had certainty, you would guarantee accomplish any goal. A guaranteed. If I had a contract right now today that said, what's your goal? Say your goal is going to the gym, losing 50 pounds. And I signed a contract with you that says, if you 1 year from today have gone to the gym 365 times and lost 50 pounds, you get $10 million. Sign it. We both sign it. And you are guaranteed that money. I know for a fact, come hell or high water, you would figure out a way to get to the gym every day and to lose that weight, because you were certain that the result is coming, right? If you knew for a fact, I want to lose 100 pounds and this diet will 100% work for me 100% of the time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about hormones. It doesn't matter about food decisions. It doesn't matter about anything else. It will 100% work for me. And I will lose the weight and I will be happy and I will get all of the things that I want. And you were certain about it, you would find a way to do it. But the reason we quit is because as we're doing the diet, we feel like, well, is this even working? Is this the right thing? I'm cutting out carbs, but I heard that carbs were good. Oh, I'm cutting out fat, but I heard that fat was good. Oh, I'm high protein, but I heard protein was bad. And we get uncertainty in our brain. So if we had certainty, you would do it, but we don't have certainty. So that brings us back to the paradox. So what can you do? Well, this is what we have to borrow certainty. And the way that you borrow certainty is from mentors. It's from coaches. It's from professionals. It's from programs, right? This is why going to the gym and following a program feels good. It doesn't feel like you're just flailing in the wind. You're like, oh, I know exactly, someone else who's smarter than me about working out told me to do this stuff. And now I know that I'm borrowing their certainty, the trainer that I paid to write this program, to know that I'm doing the right thing, right? And this is why coaching is so effective, because you might not know how to be successful, or you might not know how to follow your dreams, but you can come to me and understand that I am certain in my methodology, because I've taught this 100 times and I've practiced this 100 times and I've taken thousands of people through these steps. So you are borrowing my certainty. Okay. The next thing, and this is a huge one, that is going to get in the way, is what I call money mindset. So money mindset this is a really big one. And just so you know, in my course that I'm going to tell you guys about at the end of this program, each of these is a full week. So I'm kind of pushing through these pretty quickly, but understand that I break each of these 5 steps or 5 tendencies down into a full week of lessons so that I can really dig into them. But the money mindset is something that is better known as maybe scarcity mindset, right? So people look at things from a very scarce view of, I'm fighting for this piece of the pie. So a scarcity mindset is that if I get a piece of the pie, then someone else can't get it. And if someone else gets that piece of the pie, then I can't get it. But in reality, that's not how the universe works. In reality, there is an infinite pie, and you doing better makes me do better, and me doing better makes you do better. And a rising tide raises all ships. So the thing is that when we have a scarcity mindset, we feel like we're in competition with others, right? Whether it's in business, whether it's in, again, health and fitness or something like that. Yeah, whether it's in health and fitness, and whether it's, anything like that. We feel like we're in competition with others, but in reality, there is no competition because we are all fighting the same fight, running the same race. So I learned this, when I was first a personal trainer, and I was in a gym, and there were about 5 other trainers. So I felt like I was in competition with them. I was very scarcity minded. So every client that one of them got, I felt that it was an affront to me because that was a client that I couldn't get. So it was like I was competing with the other trainers. Like I needed to take those clients because there's only so many to go around, and I needed them. And if they got them, I couldn't have them. And while I was in that mindset, I stayed stuck, and I stayed at the bottom tier of all the trainers. It was only once I adopted an abundance mindset and I realized that the other trainers weren't my competition. My competition was the couch. It was McDonald's. It was Netflix. It was the general world. And that in reality, everyone needs help. And there was more than enough people to go around who needed help. And that actually all of the other trainers doing well helped me look good, because if people are buying personal training from other trainers, people want more personal training. They see people getting results. It doesn't matter what trainer it's with, and people are more likely to buy training. It also meant that I could refer people to other trainers, right? I didn't have to glob on to every client, even if they weren't a good fit for me. Sometimes a client came and they weren't my specialty, but because I was in scarcity, I was like, oh, I had to hold on to them. And I tried to hold on to them so tight, but I got them bad results because it wasn't my thing. When I adopted an abundance mindset, I allowed them to go and I referred them to others. And then those referrals came back around to me. And the reason that this is all so important is because this is just about viewing the universe in a different way. When we have a scarcity mindset, we think of everything from a very closed off, short time span. What's going to happen to me tomorrow? What's going to happen to me this week? What's going to happen to me right now? But in reality, again, this is the game of life. Like I said, if you're thinking about capital F failure, where I have to figure all of this out by tomorrow, then yeah, it's very scary. But if I understand that this is little f failure, where all I'm doing is trying and iterating and trying and iterating, I get to try and try and try until I succeed forever. And that's a very freeing thing. That is an abundant mindset. Okay. So by having a scarcity mindset, I'm going to want to quit because I'm going to want to hold on to my scarce finite resources, right? It's going to get scared. The moment I struggle, the moment things don't go exactly as planned, it's going to feel like I'm risking losing everything, right? But if I have the abundant mindset and I understand that, okay, there's always more out there, there's always more opportunity, there's always more that I can do, then I'm going to be able to take the risks, to push myself to do the thing that I need to do, right? And now I'm going to caveat this and go back to what I said before. I had a whole slide about this. Easier said than done. Oh, easy for you to say. Oh, well, you don't understand my situation. I get that. You're right. It is easier said than done. It is hard to adopt this mindset. And this is why most people don't do it. Okay. Most people will not do this, and most people will stay stuck because of it. That doesn't make it any less right. Okay. And another huge part of money mindset, again, this is a different part of under the same umbrella, is how people view money versus time. People view money as scarce and time as abundant, right? Oh, money, I only have this much. I can't afford to invest in this. I can't afford to buy this. But time, well, I have more time. I'm going to, I can try again later. Oh, it's all right if I quit now. I'll start next summer. I'll start next year. When that's the most backwards way to think about things. You need to flip that. Money isn't real. Money is it's not even real paper anymore. It's just numbers in a digital account. And I guess I understand we need it and we live in a society. So I get that. But in reality, time is the most important thing we have. Time is what matters. And in every possible instance, you should be using your money to buy back your time. You should not be using time to make more money. You should be paying for education. You should be paying for whatever you can do to buy back your time, because time is our most finite resource. As I said, I've sat with and studied many, many successful people, millionaires coming to billionaires. And the one thing that I've found that the golden thread is that they value their time more highly than anything else. So when you have the scarcity mindset of, I need to hold on to everything so tightly, the only thing that you have abundantly is your time. But when you have abundance with your money and with your possessions, then you hold on to your time more valuably. And then the last thing, the P in slump, is perfectionism. This could have been number one. This could have been number 1 through 100, because perfectionism holds all of us back. And the reason I have a poker player here, because perfectionism personified is I'm all in. It's all or nothing. It's I'm all in or bust. And we look at it like that. Again, that's capital F failure, quitting, or getting to success. And it's either here or it's there. But that's not how it is. That's not how the universe works. That's not how success works. That's not how any of this works. As you saw on that slide back towards the beginning with the success bar with all those little failures interspersed, you need failure to get to success. Again, this is you need it. Success does not come without failure. So if you are looking to be perfect all the time, and every time you slip up with a little F failure, you're looking at like it's capital F failure, and you're quitting because you're like, well, I screwed up now. What's the point? Well, whatever. Like, you're inherently shooting yourself in the foot, and you're stopping yourself before you can ever get any type of real success. Right. And again, this is easy example of the dieter who's dieting perfectly and then has one cookie and goes, oh, screw it, might as well have 10. Or this is the guy who is, again, waking up early every day for 2 weeks and then oversleeps his alarm and goes, well, I messed up everything and now I can't do it anymore. And then why even try anymore? Perfectionism isn't real because perfect is an unattainable ideal. It's an unattainable standard. So holding yourself to that standard is inherently setting yourself up for failure. So when you put all of those together, again, when you're thinking about quitting, because quitting is going to come, think about what part of the slump am I falling into? All right. And the reason this is important is because it is not if, but when. It is not a question of if you are going to want to quit. Am I going to want to quit? Is this going to happen to me? Again, this is human nature. I can speak on this so confidently. You can hear the confidence in my voice because I know without a shadow of a doubt, this affects every person on earth. This is human stuff. I study humans, and this is what I do for a living. And I've done this for many years, and I've seen it play out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. So it is not a question of if, it's a question of when. This stuff is coming. All right. So the better you can equip yourself to handle this stuff when it comes, the better chance you have of actually making it out unscathed. Okay. So where do you go from here? I told you at the beginning that I would break down what are the next steps. Understand that this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? If you look at the awareness loop, the awareness is up here above the water. So that's all we covered today is awareness. I just wanted to make you problem aware so that maybe you could start to see these things in your life and start to say like, hey, yeah, I have seen that. I have seen myself getting in a should loop, or I have supposed to myself out of something good, or I have been a perfectionist in the past and that's messed me up. And I just wanted you to be problem aware because being aware is the first step to creating change. But this is a bigger conversation than I can pose to have in just one day and one 30-minute masterclass. And, education and action come later. So what I want to tell you about is the course that I've created, as I mentioned before. These 5 human principles I've put together to make my new 8-week course, How to Quit Quitting, End Self-Sabotage, and Build Your Purposeful, Passionate Life. And basically, this 8-week course, we're going to break down each of those letters, SLUMP, and we're going to equip you with the tools to handle them when they inevitably arise, right? So we're going to spend a full week on each of those specific things and really break down into what it is, why it happens, how it happens, what can I do to predict and see when it's coming, and how can I get out ahead of it to know rather than waiting for it to hit me and then trying to play catch up. Okay. We're also going to create clarity around your big vision and your passion so that you know that you're working towards the right goals, right? Like I said before, you don't reach a vision. I mean, you don't reach a destination that you didn't set out for. If your vision isn't big enough, if your dreams aren't big enough, then you're stymieing yourself from the beginning. Okay. And this is also going to unlock your self-confidence, right? Because people who are confident are people who do what they say they're going to do. When you're continually setting goals and then quitting, setting goals and then quitting, it shatters your self-confidence because you can't keep your promises to yourself. How can you possibly be confident when your brain knows that you don't even keep your promises to yourself? You can't show up confidently to others if you can't even be confident to yourself. So the key to unlocking unlimited self-confidence is by becoming a person who doesn't quit on themselves. It's by getting rid of these self-sabotage, and it's by building your purposeful, passionate life. And as a bonus for everyone who's on this call, anyone who does take the steps to sign up, you're also going to receive my Overcoming Negative Thought Patterns Masterclass, my Speed Learning Masterclass, which goes over the exact speed learning techniques that I use to read over 80 books a year and take in all of this information and knowledge, and not just read faster, but to actually comprehend it and learn quicker, right? I said I'm a lifelong learner. That's my one skill, is that I learn a lot. And to be able to learn at that level, there's certain techniques that I use. So I'm going to be, for the very first time, teaching those techniques in another masterclass, which you're going to get completely for free. We're also going to get the master plan vision workshop. And then there's also going to be one-on-one coaching with me, which obviously is, one of the biggest, most valuable things. So if that's something that you're interested in, either watching this on live or watching the replay, just reach out to me either on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere DMs, or I'll put a link into the notes. All right. And then the last thing, just as a thank you, I said anyone who stayed here and watched this until the end, I would give you a special bonus. So if you're still watching this, I am offering a free success strategy session, basically a 10-minute call with me one-on-one, just to work through any questions that you have about this stuff, how to implement it, and what it looks like specifically for you. Because I know I threw a lot at you just now. Sometimes it can feel a little bit like drinking through a fire hose. So what I'm going to do is offer everyone who's here still a free 10-minute call to just kind of break it down a little bit and try to simplify these things so that you can know what you need to do to take action immediately. All right. Thank you all for being here. And again, if you're interested in learning more about the course, or you're interested in setting up this strategy session, then just please reach out to me and we'll get it all set up. All right.